Spartans, Wolverines at Chrysler. The stakes are a little bit higher than they were last year. And then, hey, Michigan State football got to commit. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Spartan friends, Spartan family, also Wolverines fans, if you guys are here to tune into this preview for Friday night's game, welcome to Locked On Spartans. It's your team in green and white 5 days a week right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below your best remedy to avoid a heart attack, because I can feel it in my chest right now. This is a big one. And, Greg, this is where we're going to start, because we're going to talk about the ins and outs of this game, what it means for the conference title, of course, but there's something more important that we have to discuss, and that's just the bitterness of us fans, because there's something missing. As nervous as I am, I have a lack of hate in my heart right now, and that's strange because I despise Michigan. I have nothing good to say about them. But here I am. It's two problems that I think I have. One is that Michigan State has been playing so well, I feel like I'm the Grinch that's seen Whoville come around with a bunch of cheer, and it's actually warming my heart. I think I'm just a better person when Michigan State basketball is good. So I don't have this giant black hole in my heart, but instead it's a small black hole, and all that energy, that's the second part, it's just been going to Illinois fans so far this year. Like, I've almost forgotten about you guys, to be honest. So, Greg, help me hate you. Why?
I can do that.
Let's get fired up for this game. Come on, you son of a family show. But yeah, let's go. Let's go.
I can do it. I'm going to start by saying you're already playing right into my hands, Sheehan. I've been pushing the narrative all season long that, like the mutant fan that I am, Michigan and Michigan State fans need to band together to save the Big Ten from the evil forces that are Brad Underwood and Matt Painter. And if you would allow me quickly, I would like to dance on those two's graves for one more second, because let's not forget, Matt Painter has been a Big Ten head coach since like 2002. Mm-hmm. And did we ever feel like Purdue ran the league? No, we didn't. Because Tom
for a second, that's it.
2 decades, okay? Just so happened that in the 4-year span where Michigan hired the most incompetent coach in NCAA history, and Tom Izzo decided, I don't even know what, to attach his hip to A.J. Hoggard for 4 years, that now Matt Painter's a genius and now Brad Underwood is who we're supposed to be afraid of. Guess what? This whole year was about a resurgence. It was about taking this league back where it belongs. And in my heart, I believe this league belongs in the hands of one of the best rivalries in sports. It's Michigan. It's Michigan State. The Beeline Izzo years were the strongest years of the Big Ten since I've been alive. And, I think this is a good return. But like you said, the camaraderie that I've tried to build all season has to be thrown out the window when first place in the league is on the line on is it Friday? Friday night.
Yeah, I know. And this is what I miss about Juwan Howard, is not just how awful of a coach he was, but he was also a very hateable character. And I liked that about him. You know what? There's a lot of Michigan State fans that said, I actually like Beeline. He's respectable. I miss him. No, I don't want to respect you guys. I want someone that's very easily hateable. And I guess Vlad Golden flops a little bit too much. That's something hateable, I suppose. But outside of that, is there anything I could come into this game just revving the engines over? Or do I just got to choose my own adventure as we watch this game from 8 to 10 p.m. on Fox?
I think the obvious answer, fine. It's the obvious answer. Vlad Golden is a hateable basketball player.
That's good. Okay, good. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, he'll be flopping around. There will be a moment in this game that he will dive headfirst and hold his eye, and then they'll show a slow-mo replay of Carson Cooper setting a very normal screen. And, you're going to have to deal with that for sure.
Well, all right, that's good. I guess we should talk about this actual game here, because it's your Wolverines against your Spartans. Look at this, Greg. You are just thriving so far this season. A lot of the discussion, especially here on this show, over on your show over there at Sleepers Media, has been about, the matchup that Michigan has offensively against Michigan State's great defense. Let's turn it around, though, because I've spent no time talking about this. But Michigan State's offense, which, of course, has its issues shooting the ball, they can have a solid half-court offense. They can get out in transition. But what about Michigan's defense? What kind of a threat do they pose for our Spartans here in this game?
They're an interesting group defensively because they're huge. That's the starting point. And it's one thing to just like be aware they play two bigs, whatever. But I think it feels different when you actually see it. Like Danny Wolfe would be one of the biggest centers in the country.
Yeah.
And not only does he play the four, but like defensively, he can guard the perimeter relatively well. Now, teams have found ways to exploit him and get him in some tough spots on the move lately, which I think Michigan State will definitely be able to do in transition. But man, I can't get it out of my head. Wisconsin looks like the best team in the Big Ten right now. And Michigan went into the Kohl Center back in December, and Danny Wolfe really had John Tonji figured out. I mean, he went there just one-on-one against a 7-foot guard trying to guard him. So I think in a lot of ways, Michigan's defense, their whole game plan, which has largely been the reason they've been very good, is centered around winning the shot quality battle every single game.
Gotcha.
Offensively, their goal is to shoot as many dunks or as many open threes as possible. And kind of Nate Oates, Alabama style, don't shoot mid-range jumpers. And really, truly, there's numbers on this. Every game this season, Michigan has won that battle. They've forced their opponents. They play drop coverage into just beating you one-on-one with tough twos. And it's a good formula. It is smart basketball. And Michigan State is interesting as an opponent for that because they don't have the isolation star that if you go through every single Michigan loss this year, there's been, right? Like Hunter Salas, Jeremiah Fears, Boogie Flan, Dawson Garcia, and Braden Smith. All 5 of those guys basically said, I'll go one-on-one and destroy you. And I think there's one guy on Michigan State's roster that could do that. I don't know if Michigan State wants to have him do that. And how they attack that will be interesting because as a team that doesn't shoot a lot of threes, you could tell me Michigan State will be comfortable against Michigan's defense. But if the wrong players are taking the tough twos, I do think there's a world where it gets ugly for the Spartans offensively.
Who is that one player then that you're thinking of? Am I wrong thinking that you're thinking of Jase Richardson? Is that potentially the guy? Oh, it's just the best player on the team. Wow. Wow. Look at me. I'm on fire right now. This is great. Because, look, obviously there's going to be a big spotlight on Jase, but we just talked about this with Dave Klein at the end of a show right after the Purdue win, is that this can be and maybe has to be a big game for Frankie Fiddler because Michigan is not any stranger to playing his own defense. Okay, Michigan State, I don't know if you guys have seen it, has not gone well so far for the Spartans so far this year. They need a guy in the middle that could shoot the mid-range, facilitate the ball, really just, maybe even get a little downhill in the paint every once in a while, draw a foul. Hey, Frankie Fiddler's known to do a few of those things every once in a while. And, of course, on the defensive end, if he's going to be paired up against Wolfe, that goes without saying. But do you think that this is also a big spotlight game for a guy like Frankie Fiddler, or is there someone else against the zone that you think that Michigan State will have a larger role for?
Yeah, I do think Fiddler is going to need to be at his best and probably play more minutes than normal in this game because of that. Michigan's zone is really interesting because they didn't play it early in the season, and they kind of went to it out of desperation. And it's largely been awesome. Like this 16-win streak has coincided with like nobody can figure it out, and it's not catching teams by surprise anymore. Like Purdue knew that it was coming, and Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn just could not figure it out. So, I think when I think Michigan State, honestly, if they go creatively, I think you could put a guard in the middle of the zone, whether it's Holloman, whether it's Jase, or even Jaden Akins. I know he's been slumping, but you can get whoever's in the middle of the zone isolated on Vlad Golden. And to me, that's what I would do if I'm Michigan State, is try to get one-on-one opportunities against Michigan's one center that can't move his feet well, drag him out to the perimeter a little bit, see if you can blow by or maybe get to the elbow for a jump shot. Fiddler to me is a natural piece there. And, roster wise, the one thing Michigan State doesn't have is like a proven solid every game bigger wing. It's really just Fiddler, and Fiddler has disappointed. That's why he fell out of the starting lineup. And I think those are the types archetype wise that have caused Danny Wolfe the biggest issues. Like when we talk about who's brought him out defensively and made him struggle, it's been like some wings with guard skills and height. And, I don't know if anyone on Michigan State other than Fiddler has the ability or just the frame to do that. But if Fiddler's going, like there's a path here. I joke about it, but it's real. He gets to the foul line at will. I mean, that's what he wants to do when he's on the floor. So if Fiddler is there, like I see a world where he gets 2 fouls on Danny Wolfe in the first half, and all of a sudden it's a completely different game.
Now, are you guys going to go full Illinois fans and, complain about it for the next 7 days, or how we'll cross that bridge when we get there, if we get there. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on all that action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or you just want to bet on that fourth quarter comeback you got a good feeling about, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into the same game parlay. Now, I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because, every time you get a hunch during an NBA game that another fourth quarter comeback will happen, put your money where your mouth is with FanDuel. And also, one of my favorite parts, too, you get paid instantly with FanDuel. There's no waiting for 4 more commercial breaks to roll around, and you're wondering, when is this going to hit my account? No. FanDuel takes care of you lickety-split. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Obviously, look, Danny Wolfe, he's the talk of the town in Ann Arbor. He's going to be a first-team All-Big Ten player. Vlad Golden, either first or second team. No kidding that those are the straws that stir the drink over there offensively. But who's like a third or a fourth fiddle over there for Michigan? Who else, in case I'm not going to lose enough sleep tonight thinking about this game, like who else should be haunting me in my dreams tonight, Greg?
I'm going to shout out 2 guys here because why not? You open the door a little bit, and I'm going to sing my praises on Locked On Spartans. Trey Donaldson has been so much better than anybody anticipated when he transferred in from Auburn. And Carter and I were 2 of his loudest critics. Like I blasted the pickup when they got it. I didn't think this was the guy you want as your starting point guard. And he's been sensational. I shouted this out on our preview for this, but if you go to like the KenPom player comps, some of the 3 most 10 similar players for Trey Donaldson in the KenPom database are Tyler Kolek last season and Colin Gillespie in 2021. Like it doesn't, like in your mind, you think he's this super turnover prone, erratic guy. He's got a turnover rate that's 4% lower than Jeremy Fears is right now. Yeah, so I think you kind of need to reframe like him being a guy that could lose you a game and start to think of him as a guy that could win you a game. Michigan's brightest moments this year, he's hit 5 threes in multiple games, and he can rack up 6-7 assists certain times. So it really has become a big 3. He doesn't get mentioned in with Vlad and Danny just because he's such a different player, but he is like the perfect shot first guy to play off of them, and he's been really solid. And the one guy that I think if Michigan wins or God forbid finds a way to win this comfortably, it's going to be dependent on Namari Burnett making shots. Michigan, when they make threes, is really close to unbeatable in my mind because of how they always win the shot battle and how big they are defensively. But the issue is that Namari Burnett is really like the only guy that is out there just to shoot the ball. Like Roddy Gale can't make a 3. Reuben Jones has been extremely streaky. So they're dependent entirely on Burnett going, 3 for 7 from 3 or better. He's done that more often than he's done the opposite. Like his development from what he was last year under Juwan to this year in a Dusty May system is insane. He's one of the best role players in the country. But to me, if you're looking up feeling frustrated in this game, it's probably not just the bigs that are getting off. It's probably the backcourt that's making shots.
So tell me why you guys have done this 6 games in a row, but not just that, but neither of these wins have come by more than 4 points. So like at this point, it's just like a feature of your team. This is not like a coincidence. It's just what you do. Like, why? Is it just because, point blank, it's simple. You have a guy you can go to? Is it just because that Vlad Golden is so good, you could just keep on getting 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, and almost like kneel out the clock at the end of games? Or why have you guys just been like annoyingly good in this win streak? You know what? Yeah. I can feel that hate coming into my heart now after saying all that. What an annoying way to just win game after game. Oh, please. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's funny because as you have watched this season played out, if you followed this team, it has flipped like literally like a coin. Like in the non-conference, the narrative on this team was, well, why aren't they winning their close games? They lost to Wake Forest by 2. They lost to Arkansas by 2. They lost to Oklahoma by 1 on a buzzer beater.
Yep.
And it's like, they don't know what they're doing in the final 30 seconds, and now they're winning every single conference game. To me, I would split it into two things. Why are they good in close games in conference play? It's entirely because nobody knows what to do with Danny Wolfe. I mean, you get to a tie game with 4 minutes left, and Michigan really doubles and triples down on every possession is going to run through that guy. And he's just – I think he's the toughest mismatch problem in the country. He's not the best player. He's not – I'm not even positive he's going to be like an NBA first-round type guy. He'll probably be in the draft, but he just is a guy that when there's one possession to get a stop against, you don't know what to do against him because how big he is. If you guard him with a regular center, he destroys them. If you guard him with a guard, he can bully ball them and just pass to wherever the mismatch is. So I think that's the biggest reason they've had success. You go through all 6 of their recent wins, Danny Wolfe has made the plays to win the game in the final 4 minutes repeatedly. And I think they're starting to feel comfortable because they've played in so many close games that they don't really fear being tied with 3 minutes left because they know exactly what to do. The flip side, which would make you optimistic if you're a Michigan State fan, is this.
Please.
Why are they in so many close games?
Sure.
It's because they're not actually that good. And I can say that as a Michigan fan.
I was going to say you said it. Okay. Let the record show that came out of Greg's mouth. Okay.
This team's very good. Don't get me wrong. But Ken Palm says they are the 5th best team in the conference. They are alone in first in the conference standings. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, that's a testament to how good Dusty May has been, how good Danny Wolfe has been in close games. Reality is, caliber-wise, this team is not ahead of a Wisconsin or a Purdue or even a Maryland right now, and certainly not a Michigan State. They have talent. They have no depth. I mean, if they go to the bench, it's a problem every time they go to the bench for Michigan. And I think, again, it's been a very charmed season where so much has gone right. It's fun as a fan, but I'm not lying to myself that this team's an unbeatable force. They can lose any given night like they showed at Minnesota.
Let me play therapist right now then. Like, how are you feeling? I know, like, you got the whole, like, drama with the Sleepers Media on YouTube, and, you know, we're going to take care of that. We listed a few ways we're going to do that before recording. It can't necessarily be repeated right now, but, like, let's just your fandom of your Wolverines, not your Spartans, but, like, as a just basketball fan, how are you feeling right now? Like, confident? It's at home, baby. There should be no reason you guys lose this game. Come on, Greg.
You know, I will say there's no reason not to be confident if you're a Michigan fan, especially at home. Because they haven't lost at home. Like they're undefeated, and people make a lot of jokes. I was getting on Purdue fans because the official Purdue Facebook account was promoting how cheap tickets were in Ann Arbor. And
yikes! Okay.
Good luck with that. I went to that game and it was a raucous crowd, and you went out with an L. So I think this is a game Michigan's going to be favored in by a possession, and I won't be stunned this year if either team sweeps the series, if either team wins on the road. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we're going to do predictions later or not, but I'm happy to give one. But, like, I think as a fan, you can simultaneously feel good and also just be nervous of the moment here that, this isn't just, hey, we're ahead of schedule and, we might be able to nit Purdue. This is like, hey, we're ahead of schedule, and we're so far ahead of schedule that we are alone in the loss column, and the only thing standing in our way from a banner is Tom Izzo in year 30 when he just set the record and said he would die trying. That's all that's left. Like, it's a terrifying proposition, and any Michigan fan that says they're not afraid of that is lying.
Yeah. Let's do predictions, but not score predictions, Greg. Let's predict. Let's say you guys win. What is just a collective reaction of the fan base? Michigan basketball back. What's going on? What's Michigan State basketball fans retort to this? Like, just walk me through the next 24 to 48 hours online. Should Michigan win this game?
I think, I'll be honest, I'm not very ingrained in Michigan social media circles, as crazy as that is.
Oh, good for you. That's healthy. Okay.
I don't know what it is or how I've avoided it somehow, but I'm like much deeper into Michigan State social media circles than Michigan ones.
Okay.
But I don't think I see the toxicity that some people do on that. But if it's me, I'll just speak for myself. If Michigan wins this game, like there's 5 games left, but we're going to start talking like, hey, we just won the title. Mm-hmm. Like we are so good at home. 3 of the final 5 games come at home, and we're 2 games up on other teams that have a bunch more hard games left. Like a 2-game lead with this few games left to play, to me, essentially means Michigan would be clinching at least a share of the Big Ten title. And, I've hesitated to go there because this team could fall apart at any second. But if they beat Michigan State at home, we did this more than we are doing this. And I just think it would feel very real. Like, you don't know what's going to happen with Dusty May. Indiana wants him, and he may leave for Indiana. To me as a fan, like, that ups the sense of urgency on this. Like, God forbid, if I'm going to lose Dusty May, who seems like he's going to turn this thing around, I better lose him with him walking out with a banner that I can hold above everybody's head for that 1 year for a while. So we'll see. I don't actually think he's going to leave, but there are stakes in more ways than one on this game from the Michigan side of things.
Win or lose, Michigan State fans collectively, I think we'll just be spamming that picture of a young Dusty May. He could be older than 12 years old in this picture I've seen online recently of him in a beautiful Indiana Hoosiers sweater as a child. So look, win or lose, we're doing that. So, but if Michigan State wins, like, what does it mean for Spartan fans then? Because it's not the same of like, okay, hey, we are so many games clear now. We do have an easier path to the end of the year. Like, no, Michigan State wins this game. We're now tied with Michigan, 3 losses, but it's still murderer's row coming down the pike here. Like, Maryland is unfortunately very good. Wisconsin also very good. You got to go to Iowa, and then hey, Michigan, it's you guys again. Like, so I'll speak for myself. Like, I'm not going to be chest pumping. Hey, we're going to win this banner. Of course, it'll just be more rivalry related. Am I too much of a coward, or should I be like really having my eyes set on Big Ten banner? Hang it up and make sure you do it the right way, not the champagne way.
No, you're smart. I think maybe this is why I tend to gravitate into Michigan State social circles, because I think you read the room pretty well. You're right. The gauntlet doesn't end with this game for Michigan State, and the reason for optimism would be you're 2-0 in the gauntlet right now. Yeah. Like the gauntlet started in Champaign and was followed up with the 2-time defending champs at home, and you went 2-0. Like this week has been insane from Michigan State. You were not supposed to win those games after you took the loss to Indiana. And I think, you never know, as Michigan State has shown. Like, there have been dips in this, like the West Coast trip. I still don't really understand what happened after what they've done to Illinois and Purdue. But, like, right. It's one of those things. I think Michigan State would feel like they stole one here. It seems like almost everybody on both sides feels like we can almost agree these teams should split this year. They're very evenly matched, evenly caliber-wise. And if Michigan State is the team that gets the road win, you would look at things a lot differently down the stretch.
Score prediction. Let's just do it. Because I've gone from thinking that, okay, Michigan, they're going to win by 8, all the way till, hey, when I woke up this morning, I thought, what if they just hold Wolfe and Golden to a combined 50 and they just have Michigan try to find 20 points elsewhere? We've seen Izzo do some iteration of that. I know it's a lot more schematically intellectual than just saying that, but there is a roadmap to victory for both teams. I just change my mind every 5 minutes. Are you more of just a rational, healthy human being, Greg, that is set with your thoughts, or lay it on us?
I certainly don't feel healthy, but I've had a gut feel on this one that it's just a gut feel. Sometimes I have predictions that feel very clear because of schematics or talent or something. For me, like, gun to my head, I think Michigan is the slightly better basketball team, and they're certainly better at home right now than anybody they've played. But my gut tells me that Michigan State's going to steal this one. And I was texting DK about this, friend of the program I know. He was pretty adamant, like, hey, if Michigan's going to get one here, it's going to be this. Michigan's not going to get senior night at Michigan State with a title on the line.
Hope not.
And when you lay it out like that, it makes a lot of sense. But, maybe I'll revise this after the fact. I think these teams are going to split and the road teams are going to win.
Okay.
And this is why I feel that way. I've seen this Michigan team. Purdue is the perfect example for this. It is hard in your first year with a team full of guys that haven't been there to be in the big spot game against whoever the big dog is in the Big Ten. And it has been Purdue. Like going into Mackey Arena for the first game between Purdue and Michigan, it was a Friday night game. The world was watching prime time.
Bad setup. Yeah.
It's the only time this year that I saw Michigan look just clueless.
Yeah.
And it's not as likely to happen at home. But you heard Dusty May talk. It was honestly a very Jonathan Smith-esque quote after Purdue that was like, hey, I didn't know it was like that. And I just think there's going to be an element of that to this game. Now, the reason I think it could flip in the rematch is that Dusty was so good against Purdue game 2, where I think it's one of those things. If you figure out something that works against Michigan game 1, Dusty will come with a completely different approach game 2. And I kind of just trust Tom Izzo here from the sense that he's the greatest to ever do it in this league. You look at this team, the reason they're so good is they play so damn hard. They've got guys that care on a 100 out of 100 scale. And it's so hard to prepare for that I just see like I envision Jackson Kohler, Trey Holloman, Jeremy Fears, those guys just showing up and like, for lack of a better term, wanting it more than Michigan guys that have not been exposed to this. And psychologically, I think there's an element that Michigan's on top and might feel like they don't need this one. Michigan State feels like they are closing the loop to reclaim the throne here. So as much as it pains me, I think Michigan State will win this game. It'll probably be a very close game. And again, not to way ahead of myself, but I think Michigan will have a good chance in the rematch if that's what happens.
I don't necessarily hate that. My reason for like Michigan coming into Breslin Center and winning that game is much more childish, much more mature. It's just not too long ago. Hey, you had an Indiana team that just fired their coach a week ago. They were 12-point underdogs. Izzo was going for history to dethrone Bob Knight. How could life get any more perfect? Well, that's what it'd be at Breslin Center, you know, senior night, Michigan's in town. You might be even going for a share, maybe even outright Big Ten banner. How on earth could MSU lose this game? And oh my God, that's Michigan 84, Michigan State 72. What on earth just happened? So that's just where I go in my sick head is that. It's nothing to do with every good point that you mentioned. It's just, we just seen some iteration of that at a much smaller degree a few weeks ago, but still, point remains.
Well, that is the funny part about this. Maybe you don't think it's funny, but I'm calling it funny.
We'll see.
Like if Michigan State loses this one, I honestly think some of the reaction we'll see will be more negatively back to that Indiana game. Because that is the loss. If it ends up where Michigan finishes a game ahead of Michigan State, that's the one that cost them the title, not losing on the road to an undefeated at home Michigan team, you know?
100%, because I asked DK about that after the Illinois game. Like, does the Illinois win erase that bad Indiana loss? And I even asked him, am I just like too in the moment right now? No, the answer is yes, because now a few days removed from that, I'm looking at the Torvik numbers. I'm seeing like the projections for how this Big Ten season finishes. And there's Michigan State, one game behind. And my first thought was that damn Indiana game. Like, you guys just couldn't beat who's your team that has nearly nothing to play for, coached by a guy who's been fired for the better part of 6 days. So no, you are correct. That is if Michigan State loses, and I sure hope they don't. That's kind of what I'll be thinking about as my head hits the pillow at about 4:33 a.m. The following morning. So, well, I'm in a horrible spot mentally for this game, which means I'm ready. Are you ready, Greg? How are you feeling?
I'm going to this game with my nephew, who's a Michigan State fan, by the way.
Okay.
And
just like you, perfect, good.
Yeah, so I gave him tickets to this as a Christmas gift because he hasn't been to Michigan's arena before, and he's starting to get into sports. He's 10 years old, and he sent me a pic. I was like, I wonder if he'll wear green, if he's comfortable like going into the arena like that. And he sent me a picture yesterday. He's wearing a hot dog suit to this game.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So now as the Michigan fan uncle taking my nephew into hostile territory, I now have to deal with the fact that like Michigan fans are probably going to be chirping the little kid in a hot dog suit for 40 minutes. Honestly, he has me in hell. My nephew has y'all off to a good start mentally.
Yeah. Go green, go Glizzies, let's go. You know what? And your nephew's invited on the show if Michigan State can pull this one off. Just send you the link and he'll call me on the car ride back home. Greg, can't thank you enough. Free Sleepers Media, by the way. That's right. If you are even tangibly related to anyone at YouTube, let's straighten some things out over there. Well, I'm going to talk about Eli Bickel. He's a guy that just committed here. Do you want to stick around for that, Greg, or are you all set? You just going to start dry heaving over this game.
I'm going to go talk to more lawyers about getting my YouTube channel back. But thank you for the invite, Matt. It's always fun. And either way, we'll have some fun this Friday night for sure.
Oh, fun is one word that starts with F I can think of to describe that. All right, guys, we'll be back here in a hot second, talk recruiting. Huge thanks to our guy, Greg Waddell. Of course, he does fantastic work with Carter Elliott over at Sleepers Media. And by the way, if you work at YouTube, you have a cousin that works at YouTube, you are even 4 degrees away from anyone that works at YouTube. Free Sleepers Media. I beg you. Those guys, again, do fantastic work. So before we end the show here, before we go into the weekend, hey, Wednesday night, a little bit of a surprise, even from a lot of recruiting folks, did not see this one coming. Eli Bickel out of North Branch, Michigan, a small town, little over 1,000 people, kind of somewhat barely near the sun, if you want to count it at that. Regardless, they're getting a little more green and white inside of them because, 6'6", 270-pound Eli Bickel, he committed to Michigan State's 2026 class on Wednesday. Now, he becomes the 4th commit of the class. All 4 of those commits are on the offensive side of the ball. You got your quarterback in Cade Kaufman. You got 2 more tight ends. And then, here is your first offensive lineman for the class. Now, Eli Bickel, no stranger to East Lansing. He's visited a handful of times, starting with the Florida Atlantic game. He came by for the Ohio State game. He was in town for Junior Day very recently. And, here we go. Now, I suspect he's going to be back on campus sometime in June for more official visits. But hey, guys, here we go. We're kicking off the offensive line recruiting because this is going to have to be a solid class for offensive line. And it's not that we're overly worried about it because right now, with our 2024 class and 2025 classes, there are 9 combined offensive linemen across those 2 classes. Not too shabby. But when you look at this class, 2026, which obviously just 1 offensive lineman right now, and then the 2025 class where there was just 3, that's kind of lacking in numbers for stacking classes. Again, this isn't me panicking. There's still a long way to go, but since there's only 3 kids on the offensive line in last year's class, I wouldn't be surprised to see 4, if not 5 offensive linemen in this one. So we'll see how things shake out there. Of course, they got a few other targets out there. The biggest one, Gregory Patrick. He's a legacy kid. His father played at Michigan State. He's out of Portage Northern. Now, he's going to visit Michigan State in June, but it's going to be a tough competition to get this top 250 kids commitment here. He's also going to visit Notre Dame, Michigan, and Penn State. Those are 3 solid programs that you got to go up against. But anyway, back to Eli Bickel, who again is going to be an offensive tackle. The 24/7 Sports Composite has him rated as a top 50 tackle in the nation, just outside the top 10 overall kids for the state of Michigan. He ranks number 11 in the composite, but he also got offers from plenty of Ivy League schools, a few MAC schools, and the other big Power 4 schools that he had offers from, Cincinnati and Northwestern. And I'm sure it helps a little bit that, hey, his cousin, Matt Costello, that's right, former Bay City baller that played at Michigan State. I'm sure you all remember him. So we're certainly not that old where I have to explain to you who Matt Costello is. But, yeah, staying in the family, staying with the green and white, and, hey, welcome Eli Bickel to the 2026 class. So, of course, guys, we'll keep our eye on recruiting. We'll keep the pulse on it. But, yeah, just wanted to mention him before we go into the weekend because what a nice little surprise on Wednesday night. Unfortunately, after we recorded with Stephen Brooks, so we weren't able to get his insight. But, yeah, how can you not like an offensive line commit? You just have to be the saddest person in the world to not be fired up about this one. All right, guys, we will be back on Friday night, win or lose. We got 1/3 of the Can't Read, Can't Write podcast joining the post-game show, so that's going to be exciting as Mike Jones is going to join us in the mix. But until then, let's try to mix in a water, guys. Love you all. I'm scared. I'm nervous. Not afraid to admit it. Go green. Go green.